Hello. We don't have any live viewers yet, but that's alrighty. I'm starting out just a couple minutes later than I intended to, but that's alright. Sorry about not streaming yesterday. I just didn't feel like it when it came down. That's really what it comes down to. Alright. Well, while we're waiting, I haven't done this the last couple times because I was a bit late last couple times that I recorded. But anyway, this time we've got enough time, so I'm gonna open up the dictionary again. And let me turn to where we left off. Where was that anyhow? I believe this is where we left off, so let's go ahead. Right here. Could be wrong. But anyway, I think the next word is Abbey Lubber. It's a name formerly given to an idle monk or abbey pensioner. The next word is abbot, which is a noun from a bunch of different languages. I think that's Assyrian, Latin, and just Syrian. The first definition is the superior or governor of an abbey or monastery. And the second definition is a title sometimes borne by bishops whose sees were formerly abbeys. Next word is abbotship, which is the same as abbacy, and it's a noun. Abbacy is the position, rights, privileges, or term of office of an abbot. The next word is abozzo. There we go. It's abbozzo, which is a noun, and it's from Italian, meaning a sketch. It is a rough sketch or outline of anything, as of a picture or a poem, a preliminary draft. Abbozzo. That's interesting. I've never heard that word before in my life. The next word is abbreviate, which is the verb transitive. What does VT and PT mean? I forgot. Hold on, let me look back here to see what those stand for. VT. Hold on, it looks like I come across PT first. PT is past tense. VT is verb transitive. Okay, so the verb transitive of abbreviate is abbreviated, and the past tense is abbreviating. Okay, it's from the Latin abbreviare, ad, which means to, and breviare from brevis, which means short. First definition is to shorten, to make shorter. Second definition is to shorten a word or phrase by the omission or substitution of letters. And the third definition of abbreviate is in mathematics to reduce to lower terms. Synonyms of abbreviate are abridge, condense, shorten, contract. The next word is abbreviated as an adjective, shortened, reduced to lower terms, abridged. In botany, an abbreviated perianth is shorter than the tube of the corolla. Excuse me. The next word is abbreviation, which is a noun. I'm going to scoot up closer to the desk here. Let's see. Hold on a second. This chair's on wheels, so it likes to scoot. Alright, so the next word, abbreviator. Abbreviation, which is a noun. The first definition is the act of shortening or contracting. Second definition, the state or fact of being made short. Third definition, a letter or letters used for a word or phrase, as Gen for Genesis, USA for United States of America. Fourth definition is the reduction of fractions to lower terms. In music, one dash or more through the stem of a note, dividing it respectively into quavers, semiquavers, or demi-semiquavers. Those are not musical terms I'm very familiar with. Let's see, the sixth definition is a summary, an abridgment, a contracted or abbreviated form. Synonyms: contraction, abridgment, curtailment. That's a fun word. Curtailment. Next word is abbreviator, which is a noun. The first definition is one who abridges or reduces to a smaller compass, and the second is one of a number of secretaries in the chancery of Rome whose duty is to draw up the Pope's briefs and reduce petitions, when granted, to a due form for papal bulls. Next word is abbreviatory, which is an adjective. It is a shortening or a contracting. And the last word on this page where we're going to stop is abbreviature, which is a noun. It is a letter or character for shortening. An abridgment, a compend. I don't believe I've seen the word compend before. All right, well, that's it for the dictionary. It's been about 6 or so minutes, and it does look like we have some live viewers. So hello, thanks for joining. I'm going to be reading Treasure Island in just a bit. Let me open up to the proper page. We're on chapter 28. If you weren't here the last time I read, Jim had just walked into the cabin where supposedly his friends were camped, but actually it had been overrun by the pirates, and Jim got caught by Captain Flint the parrot. Let me wet my throat real quick before I start. Alrighty. So, chapter 28 of Treasure Island is called In the Enemy's Camp. The red glare of the torch, lighting up the interior of the blockhouse, showed me the worst of my apprehensions realized. The pirates were in possession of the house and stores. There was the cask of cognac, there was the pork and bread, as before, and, what tenfold increased my horror, there was not a sign of any prisoner. I could only judge that all had perished, and my heart smote me sorely that I had not been there to perish with them. There were 6 of the buccaneers, all told. Not another man was left alive. 5 of them were on their feet, flushed and swollen, suddenly called from the first sleep of drunkenness. The 6th had only risen upon his elbow. He was deadly pale, and the blood-stained bandage round his head told me that he had recently wounded and still more recently dressed. I remember the man who had been shot and had run back among the woods in the great attack, and doubted not that this was he. The parrot sat, preening her plumage, on Long John's shoulder. My eyes just suddenly got really dry. He himself, I thought, looked somewhat paler and more stern than I was used to. He still wore the fine broadcloth suit in which he had fulfilled his mission, but it was bitterly the worse for wear, daubed with clay and torn with the sharp briars of the wood. "So," said he, "here's Jim Hawkins, shiver my timbers. Dropped in like, eh? Well, come, I take that friendly." And thereupon he sat down across the brandy cask and began to fill a pipe. "Give me a loan of that, of the leak." Sorry, let me start that over again. "Give me a loan of that link, Dick," said he, and then, when he had a good light, "That'll do, lad," he added. "Stick the glim in the wood heap, and you, gentlemen, bring yourselves to. You needn't stand up for Mr. Hawkins. He'll excuse you, you mayn't lay to that. And so, Jim, stopping the tobacco, here you were, and quite a pleasant surprise for poor old John Silver. I see you were smart when first I set my eyes on you, but this here gets away from me clean, it do. To all this, as may be well supposed, I made no answer. They had set me with my back against the wall, and I stood there, looking Silver in the face, pluckily enough, I hope, to all outward appearance, but with black despair in my heart. Silver took a whiff or two of his pipe with great composure, and then ran on again. Now, you see, Jim, so be as you are here, said he, I'll give you a piece of my mind. I've always liked you, I have, for a lad of spirit and the picture of my own self when I was young and handsome. I always wanted you to jine and take your share and die a gentleman, and now, my cock, you've got to. Your Captain Smollett's a fine seaman, as I'll own up to any day, but stiff on discipline. Duty is duty, says he, and right he is. Just you keep clear of the captain. The doctor himself is done dead again, you ungrateful scamp, was what he said, and the short and the long of what the whole story is about here. You can't go back to your own lot, for they won't have you, and without you start a third ship's company all by yourself, which might be lonely, you'll have to jine with Captain Silver. So far, so good. My friends, then, were still alive, and though I partly believed the truth in Silver's statement that the cabin party were incensed at me for my desertion, I was more relieved than distressed by what I heard. I don't say nothing as to your being in our hands, continued Silver, though there you are, and you may lay to it. I'm all for argument. I never seen good come out of threatening. If you like the service, well, you'll jine, and if you don't, Jim, why, you're free to answer no. Free and welcome, shipmate, and if fairer can be said by mortal seamen, shiver me sides. Am I to answer, then? I asked, with a very tremulous voice. Through all this sneering talk, I was made to feel the threat of death that overhung me, and my cheeks burned and my heart beat painfully in my breast. Excuse me. Lad, said Silver, no one's a-pressing of you. Take your bearings. None of us won't hurry you, mate. Time goes so pleasant in your company, you see. Well, said I, growing a bit bolder, if I'm to choose, I declare I have a right to know what's what, and why you're here, and where my friends are. What's what? Repeated one of the buccaneers in a deep growl, the most threatening note I had yet heard. Ah, he'd be a lucky one as knowed that. You'll perhaps batten down your hatches till you're spoke to, my friend, cried Silver, truculently to the speaker. And then, in the same gracious tones he had first used, he replied to me. Yesterday morning, Mr. Hawkins, said he, in the dog watch, down came Dr. Livesey with a flag of truce. Says he, Captain Silver, you're sold out. Ship's gone. Well, maybe we'd been taking a glass, with a song to help it round. I won't say no. Leastways, none of us had looked out. We looked out, and by thunder, the old ship was gone. I never seen a pack of fools look fishier, and you may lay to that, if I tells you that looked the fishiest. Well, says the doctor, let's bargain. We bargained, him and I, and here we are. Stores, brandy, blockhouse, the firewood you was thoughtful enough to cut, and, in a manner of speaking, the whole blessed boat from Crosstrees to Kielson. As for your friends, they've tramped. I don't know where they are. He again drew quietly at his pipe. And lest you should take it into that head of yours, he went on, that you was included in the treaty, here's the last word that was said. How many are you, says I, to leave? 4, says he, and one of us wounded. As for that boy, I don't know where he is, confound him, says he, nor I don't much care. We're about sick of him. These was his words. "Is that all?" I asked. "Well, it's all that you're to hear, my son," returned Silver. "And now am I to choose?" "And now you are to choose, and you may lay to that," said Silver. "Well," said I am not such a fool, but I know pretty well what I have to look for. Let the worst come to the worst. It's little I care. I've seen too many die since I fell in with you. But there's a thing or two I have to tell you," I said, and by this time I was quite excited. "And the first is this. Here you are in a bad way, ship lost, treasure lost, men lost, your whole business gone to wreck. And if you want to know who did it, it was I. I was in the apple barrel the night we sighted land, and I heard you, John, and you, Dick Johnson, and Hans, who was now at the bottom of the sea, and told every word you said before the hour was out. And as for the schooner, it was I who cut her cable, and it was I that killed the men you had aboard of her, and it was I who brought her where you'll never see her more. Not one of you. The laugh's on my side. I've had the top of this business from the first. I no more fear you than I fear a fly. Kill me if you please, or spare me. But one thing I'll say, and no more. If you spare me, bygones are bygones, and when you fellows are in court for piracy, I'll save you all I can. It is for you to choose. Kill another and do yourselves no good, or spare me and keep a witness to save you from the gallows." I stopped, for I tell you, I was out of breath, and to my wonder not a man of them moved, but all sat staring at me like as many sheep. And while they were still staring, I broke out again. "And now, Mr. Silver," I said, "I believe you're the best man here, and if things go the worst, I'll take it kind of you to let the doctor know the way I took it." "I'll bear it in mind," said Silver, with an accent so curious that I could not for the life of me decide whether he were laughing at my request or had been favorably affected by my courage. "I'll put one to that," cried the old mahogany-faced seaman, Morgan by name, who I had seen in Long John's public house upon the quays of Bristol. "It was him that knowed Black Dog." "Well, and see here," added the sea cook, "I'll put another again to that, by thunder, for it was this same boy that faked the chart from Billy Bones. First and last, we've split upon Jim Hawkins." "Then here goes," said Morgan with an oath, and he sprang up, drawing his knife as if he had been 20, and starting toward me. "Avast there!" cried Silver. "Who are you, Tom Morgan? Maybe you thought you was captain here. Perhaps. By the powers, but I'll teach you better. Cross me, and you'll go where many a good man's gone before you, first and last, these 30 year back. Some to the yard rim, some to the yard arm, shiver my sides, and some by the board, and all to feed the fishes. There's never a man looked me between the eyes and seen a good day afterward. Tom Morgan, you may lay to that." Morgan paused, but a hoarse murmur arose from the other buccaneers. "Tom's right," said one. "I stood hazing long enough from one," added another. "I'll be hanged if I be hazed by you, John Silver." "Did any of you gentlemen want to have it out with me?" roared Silver, bending far forward from his position on the keg, with his pipe still glowing in his right hand. "Put a name on what you're at. You ain't dumb, I reckon. Him that wants shall get it. Have I lived this many years, and a son of a rum puncheon should cock his hat athwart my hoss, and a ladder end of it. You know the way, you're all gentlemen of fortune, by your account. Well, I'm ready. Take a cutlass, him that dares, and crutch and all, I'll see the color of his inside before that pipe's empty." Not a man stirred. Not a man answered. "That's your sword, is it?" he added, returning his pipe to his mouth. "Well, you're a gay lot to look at, anyway. Not much worth to fight, you ain't. P'raps you can understand King George's English. I'm captain here by election. I'm captain here because I'm the best man by a long sea mile. You won't fight as gentlemen of fortune should. Then by thunder you'll obey, and you may lay to it. I like that boy, now. I've never seen a better boy than that. He's more a man any pair of rats of you in this here house, and what I say is this. Let me see him that'll lay a hand on him, that's what I say, and you may lay to it. There was a long pause after this. I stood straight up against the wall, my heart still going like a sledgehammer, but a ray of hope now shining in my bosom. Silver leaned back against the wall, his arms crossed, his pipe in church. Yet his eye kept wandering furtively, and he kept the tail of it on his unruly followers. They, on their part, drew gradually together toward the far end of the blockhouse, and the low hiss of their whispering sounded in my ear continuously like a stream. One after another, they would look up, and the red light of the torch would fall for a second on their nervous faces. But it was not toward me, it was toward Silver that they turned their eyes. "You seem to have a lot to say," remarked Silver, spitting far into the air. "Pipe up and let me hear it, or lay to." "Ax your pardon, sir," returned one of the men. "You're pretty free with some of the rules. Maybe you'll kindly keep an eye upon the rest. This crew's dissatisfied. This crew don't valley bullying a marlinspike. This crew has its rights like other crews. I'll make so free as that. And by your own rules, I take it we can talk together. I ask your pardon, sir, acknowledging you to be captain at this present, but I claim my right, and steps outside for a council." And with an elaborate sea salute, this fellow, a long, ill-looking, yellow-eyed man of 35, stepped coolly toward the door and disappeared out of the house. One after another, the rest followed his example, each making a salute as he passed, each adding some apology. "According to rules," said one. "Foxhole Council," said Morgan. "There's that word again. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Foxhole." And so, with one remark or another, all marched out and left Silver and me alone with the torch. The sea cook instantly removed his pipe. "Now look you here, Jim Hawkins," he said, in a steady whisper that was no more than audible. "You're within half you're within half a plank of death, and, what's a long sight worse, of torture. They're going to throw me off, but you mark I stand by you through thick and thin. I didn't mean to, no, not till you spoke up. I was about desperate to lose that much blunt and be hanged into the bargain. But I see you was the right sort. I says to myself, you stand by Hawkins, John, and Hawkins will stand by you. You're his last card, and by the living thunder, John, he's yours. And back to back, says I, you save your witness, and he'll save your neck." I began dimly to understand. "You mean all's lost?" I asked. "Aye, by gum I do," he answered. "Ship gone, neck gone, that's the size of it. Once I looked into that bay, Jim Hawkins, and seen no schooner. Well, I'm tough. But I gave out. As for that lot and their counsel, mark me, they're outright fools and cowards. I'll save your life, if so be as I can, from them. But see here, Jim, tit for tat, you save Long John Silver from swinging." I was bewildered. It seemed a thing so hopeless he was asking. He, the old buccaneer, the ringleader throughout. "What I can do, that I'll do," I said. "It's a bargain," cried Long John. "You speak up, Plucky, and by thunder I've a chance." He hobbled to the torch where it stood propped among the firewood and took a fresh light to his pipe, puffing out smoke in great clouds. "Understand me, Jim," he said, returning. "I've a head on my shoulders, I have. I'm on Squire's side now. I know you've got that ship safe somewheres. How you done it, I don't know, but safe it is. I guess Hans and O'Brien turned soft. I never much believed in either of them. Now, you mark me. I ask no questions, nor I won't let others. I know when a game's up, I do, and I know a lad that's staunch. Ah, you that's young. You and me might have done a power of good together." He drew some cognac from the cask into a tin cannikin. Is can short for cannikin? That's interesting. I've never seen that word before. "Will you taste, messmate?" he asked, and when I had refused, "Well, I'll take a drain myself, Jim," said he. "I need a caulker, for there's trouble on hand. And talking of trouble, why did the doctor give me the chart, Jim?" My face expressed a wonder so unaffected that he saw the needlessness of further questions. "Ah, well, he did, though," said he. "And there's something under that, no doubt. Something, surely, under that, Jim, bad or good." And he took another swallow of the brandy, shaking his great fair head like a man who looks forward to the worst. That is the end of chapter 28. Only 5 more chapters to go, and I'm done with Treasure Island. Alrighty. Well, thanks for sticking around to the end. As usual, it doesn't seem there are very many people watching live towards the end. That seems to be the general trend. Well, that's alright. So thanks for sticking around to the end. And not sure when I'll do this again, but I'll try for tomorrow. We'll see. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like. That's very helpful. Makes these videos more visible to other people. And also, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I've been gaining subscribers lately, which I very much appreciate. And we're getting closer and closer to 1,000, which I'm really wanting to get to. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and y'all have a good night. God bless.